2, 1. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us on Forgotten Feminists today. My special guest is the absolutely stunningly gorgeous Iman. Thank you so much for joining me, Iman. This is actually our very first time talking, so I'm hoping we can fit everything that I have to say to you in just an hour.
Sure.
And I wanted to tell you, although I've known about you for a long time, it was 𝗃𝗓 that will be joining us now. She's the one who was like, why have you not invited Iman yet? And I was like, oh my God, you're right. I have failed.
There she is.
Yeah, here she is. So she's the one that reminded me, but yeah, you should have been one of my very first guests. And so I'm really glad that we're finally getting to do this.
It is meant to be. It's meant to happen right now.
Yeah. All right. So tell me everything. Let's start at the very beginning because like I said, you and I haven't chatted before. So you've mentioned in Saudi Arabia, you said you were treated like property. Now, I'm not surprised by that because I've heard that from many women before, but I'd like you to tell me in your words what it was like for you in Saudi Arabia and why you say you were treated like property.
Before I start, the biggest issue I find people who are not familiar with the societies that you and I are originally from or come from, they usually don't understand how can you say that you were treated so poorly and that term specifically as property, but at the same time you're a physician, you went to medical school and became a doctor. They can't reconcile those two. And I understand that, I truly do. But it is that's the way. We're treated like property, even as physicians. Just because we're allowed, and we are literally allowed to go to specific schools, at least during the time period when I was there, doesn't change the fact that we need permission for pretty much every aspect of life, including the biggest, I guess, way to explain it would be marriage. That's where the display of being a property really comes through, shines through. I know we try to make it sound pretty, look pretty, do all these like 3-day-long wedding ceremonies, but essentially, if you look at the wedding ceremony itself and how it occurs, the woman doesn't even need to be there. I believe she needs to just say yes. Under duress, under what? Nobody really knows.
I was neither there, nor did I say yes.
Oh. I am very sorry to hear that.
Yeah, and we've had some other guests as well. One of them is 𝗃𝗢𝗢, who is also from Saudi Arabia. Same thing. Her father was
married
there.
Off.
Just, yeah.
Married off, like property, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're just giving away. And the exchange of money, what do they call it?
Dowry.
The dowry, the amount of money that bypasses the woman completely and just goes from one man to the other. That's a big thing. But
that's a transfer of property from the man, absolutely, from one man to another man. Yeah.
And I can't even begin to tell you how many girls I personally know were literally robbed out of their money. It was taken from them, so it's ugly. Inside of it feels yucky. You don't feel like you have any agency over yourself. Then you go to the divorce aspect of it, where the woman again has no say. The man can just say 3 words and she's out, gone.
Mm-hmm.
You go to, it's just done. What else? School, going to school. Of course, I was brainwashed from a very young age to only go into med school. Not that that's a negative thing, but that was the order. So I actually chose to, my 3 choices, 1, 2, 3. Number 1 was dentistry in the application. When I told my family that it was number 1, they beat me. And they got me to go back, request the application and tear it and redo it and put medicine as number one and dentistry as number two. So that's being a little bit on the property aspect of things. Not much of a choice there. What else can I say? Permission to leave the house, permission to travel. Can't travel without literally your guardian with you at the airport and a piece of paper. Eventually, it just became a piece of paper from your guardian when the digital tracking began. But all of this, yeah, sure. And then you have specific jobs or fields of work where women are forbidden completely or were forbidden during the time period I was there, including law, policing, government, anything really. Doctoring was just one of the few that we were allowed to get into. Yeah. So yes, we are property.
So I have seen schools like girls' schools. Obviously, it made international news when there was a girls' school that was on fire, and
Yes.
the guard at the door wouldn't let the girls out because they weren't wearing proper hijab, so they burned.
Yes.
They burned to death in the
Yes.
school.
With the teachers.
With
the women.
There was teachers.
Yeah.
So that guy that stands at the door to make sure that you're all dressed properly as you're coming out and that you're all going to your family, like you're going to the right car and all that kind of thing. Like that is a
Yes.
level of control that I was really shocked to see.
I lived this through, it's difficult to live through, but you live through it. You know, it's funny. I shouldn't say funny. It's interesting. People, I envision future generations looking back specifically at the past 2 years and thinking, how did these people get through this?
Mhm.
And I usually, like, the response is, you get through it one day at a time. And it's no different than my life in Saudi. Looking back now, going into medical, like the first 3 years of med school was a female-only building that was outside of Riyadh, and it was near a prison, a female-only prison. And the guards, it was ridiculous. Like, I remember one time my friend's uncle came to, he dropped me off from her home. I was with her. I can't even begin to tell you. I was stopped at the guard at the door reported me to the female guard inside through the phone. She immediately barred me from entering the university. I was surrounded. They took me away and I was interrogated. This is medical school. This is med school.
So wait a minute. Why are they, what reported you for what? Because you came
because
in a
I
different
came
car?
in a vehicle.
Wow.
Different. They
Wow,
know the vehicles of each girl. Now, mind you, we are fully covered when we go outside, but they still know us. That is the level of control and spying. I don't know what the term is.
I don't.
Like just surveillance.
Yeah.
Surveillance. This is medical school. And I'm like, wow, I couldn't believe the situation I was in. And
So
they're like, we're gonna let you
adult.
go. Yeah. They said, we can call your dad. They had, of course, my father's phone number, all the numbers, right? Threatening me of, you know, whatever, getting me in trouble. And then they told me, we'll do you a favor this time, we'll let it go.
Unbelievable.
So what kind of physician are you going to graduate to become?
Yeah, if you don't even have the autonomy to come or go as you please, to be dropped off by somebody different one day, or you know, a taxi, like
it's just, wow. And then the negative, the evil, they put evil intent, they just plaster it all over you, you know, and you have to find a way to dig yourself out of it.
So the assumption is that you were sleeping with this friend's uncle.
Of course.
And that's
what
why
else can
he's
I
dropping
be
you
doing?
off in the morning. My God. Oh my God. Obsessed with sex. They think the minute you walk out the door, the first male that crosses your path,
sex,
you know,
sex.
immediately.
That's it.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. 5 minutes late for school. Who were you fucking?
Yeah, in 5 minutes.
Right. It's just, but that's the way it is. It's just like this constant surveillance, just trying to protect your virginity to like the psychotic degree.
The funny part is I wasn't a virgin. Sorry.
They were already too late.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. So so tell me about medical school. Did you graduate from medical school there? Did you ever work as a medical doctor in Saudi Arabia? I don't know that there was a lot of women. You just get the degree, but you don't necessarily work, right?
No, okay. And there's an interesting thing you might find. Now, the numbers I don't have the numbers solid in my head, but wanted to share this with you. When I went into medical school at King Saud University, I believe we were 300 girls that initiate, like the first year. We graduated 70 girls.
Oh, wow.
We went down from 300 to 70. A lot of us they just couldn't do it. The girls, a lot of them got married. And as soon as they got married, gone. The other thing was the harassment in med school for us to cover our face, to wear the niqab. A lot of girls left. Our reputations were muddied a lot, especially when the clinical work started and we began doing on-calls. We really started to we shed, our numbers shed, until finally we would begin to fail rotations. They would fail us if we weren't covered. So we graduated 70 girls from 300. The boys in our year were 700 boys that graduate, men, doctors that graduated. This just gives you the big picture of things. The level of harassment that I experienced throughout medical school and the tragedy that happened to me, when I was abducted, and how the religious police contacted the hospital, and all of that was beyond anything I had ever signed up for to go.
Okay, you'll have to rewind a little bit and tell us that of what you were abducted by the religious police.
Oh yes, I was sorry.
No problem.
I should probably link my blog at some point, but
for sure.
There was one night where this was the biggest event that happened to me before I left Saudi. I was on call. It was clinical rotation. Finished my on-call night, exhausted, really tired. Called my stepmother. My mother was divorced. She was in Egypt. I had a stepmother. Can you please send the driver? Women weren't allowed to drive back then. Sure. She hung up. 3 hours later, I'm still standing under the sun, waiting for my driver. I realized he wasn't coming. The guy that was on call with me came out and saw me, and he's like, come on, let's go. I'll take you in my vehicle. I'm like, yes, okay, let's go. So I got in his car and he's like, sit in the front. And I'm like, wait, we're a little bit outside of the city. I know that there are lots of religious stations we're gonna pass by. Is this a good idea? He's like, they're just gonna think you're my wife or my sister. Sit. That was the end of it. Next thing, we were surrounded by 4 GMCs being on a highway. They slowed us down. We almost crashed. 4 men came at us, opened both doors, got us out. We literally were kidnapped. Beat him. I wasn't touched. And that was the beginning of the nightmare for me. Essentially, I was framed of fornicating with him, that they had caught me in a downtown hotel, a hotel downtown Riyadh. The story was incredible. The story was incredible. And while I was in their custody, they threatened me after spending 3 nights in a cell, no sleep, no food. They made me sign 4 empty pages, basma, not sign, use my thumb. 4 empty pages. I put my thumbprint, and they filled them with whatever stories went to the courts. I never went to trial. The court just handed down 80 lashes, 2 more years in prison. Yeah, and then they started calling the hospital. Your whore, the whore that works in this department. I was doing pediatrics at the time. And I barely passed pediatrics.
Oh my God.
So yeah, that's medical school in Saudi Arabia. And then the my colleagues began moving away from me. I noticed everyone stopped talking to me. I started getting really bad grades. And then some guy, really nice guy, very religious guy, but a good guy, you know? He came to me and he said, Iman, what's happening? This is what's happening. And he told me, he said, you're known as the whore.
So
That's
what
why,
was this,
yeah.
what was this entire, how did this, so if there's this woman covered head to toe in black, driving with a man,
Doesn't
you
matter.
know,
They have the
how
right.
did they, no, but so they stopped you and they said, show us your ID, and they saw
Yes.
that you weren't married. And so then that's when they did all this.
But the problem is that when I go to the hospital, I don't have my abaya. I wear my white lab coat and my hijab. So that really triggered them, I believe. Now he was wearing, probably, I can't even remember, he probably wasn't even wearing a lab coat, but I was. I wasn't completely in black.
Right. So they needed to bring you down.
Oh,
because
of
here
course.
you are thinking that you're going to be a female doctor in this country. You know, we have to remind you.
When they took me to their house, because I was in their house for 3 days before they took me to the women's prison, where they made me sign those papers. They started parading me. There were a lot of men in that house.
This is
They
the religious
paraded me.
police house?
Yes, yes, yes. They drove me after they kidnapped me in a GMC into a garage in a house, which was
Were
their
you
station.
able to contact your family at all?
No.
So they had no idea where you were?
No, no. My family finally came and found out where I was after 3 months.
What?
Yeah. No, I wasn't allowed the mental abuse was ridiculous in jail, the mental torture. But yeah, they paraded me and they said, this is the doctor. She's a doctora, doctora,
yeah.
they would say.
Yeah. Yeah. They can't handle it.
Yeah. So yes, I did graduate med school in Saudi Arabia. I did work for 3 years. I was a PGY3, R3 resident in my 3rd year of anesthesia specialty in 𝗃𝗶𝗱𝗲 National Guard, which is now yeah. And I came here to Canada after I was interviewed at the QE2 in Nova Scotia and the General Hospital in Ottawa. Both accepted me. I chose to come to the QE2 in Halifax, where I began my training as an anesthesia resident.
Wow, all that despite the trauma that you were going through before you graduated, you still managed to graduate.
This is gonna sound weird, but when I was somewhere between 14 and 16, I wrote down in a journal on a piece of paper the main things that I wanted out of life, and I recall them still. Number 1, I said I was going to be living in North America. I didn't specify where. I just said somewhere in North America. Number 2 was basically the life that I wanted to live, which has occurred. I'm living this life right now. It's a personal thing. But I wrote down my future. I wrote down the life I'm living now. And I always knew it was going to happen. I never stopped. I never stopped. And this is why people like us speaking out is really important, Yasmine. Girls give up.
Yes.
And they shouldn't.
Yes.
So,
yes. That's something I was just talking about with a woman in Egypt the other day who's not yet comfortable coming on Forgotten Feminists, but
yeah.
We were talking about that too, about how her family had put so many restrictions on her. And she said, I look back now and I think, why did I accept it? Why did I live like that? You know, and I was reminding her, for us in those situations, like, we don't know that there are options.
Exactly.
Like that's how we see our mother, our sister, our aunts, our everybody around us. This is how we live. We have to obey. There's no second choice.
But do you remember dreaming?
Oh my God, yes, of course. I never stopped dreaming, just like you, but I didn't know that it would ever become a reality. I didn't have that certitude that you were describing. For me, it was like a dream that kept me alive, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Yes, yeah, exactly. There's a reason for that. I hope in the future you and I connect again so I can go further and explain why. Why I say this. It's not the time now, but there's a reason.
But yeah, the hope is essential. Of course, there are so many times when you lose hope.
Of course.
But then you have to get it back again, because that's the difference between will you, the fight, flight, or freeze, essentially, because most of us freeze, most of us accept it and say, "Khalas, this is the way it is, maktub,"
this is my destiny.
What are you going to do?
Live a broken life.
And so you just accept it. But the very few people who don't accept it and who keep on pushing and pushing and pushing, and even from those very few do get out one way or another.
Which is why we're not very much liked, are we?
No, no, they hate it. I mean, if they were mocking you and taunting you for being doctora, and needing to tear you down because you are a woman and a doctor, and imagine how much hate they have for you now, when you have your gorgeous hair out, wearing whatever you want, big smile, your face isn't covered, your body isn't covered. They don't get to control you anymore. The religious police can't take you and put you in prison anymore. You can do whatever you want. You can say whatever you want. It drives them crazy. They hate because the women with power.
What you're trying to touch on is that the prison that they create for us, that we accept, is a mental. It's a mental prison. It is all it is. And we have
to break the spell.
We are. It's happening.
Yeah, I completely agree. So when you say it's happening, I just want to touch on that a little bit, because I have seen women all across the Middle East. Honestly, I cried when I saw women in Saudi Arabia. They had a hashtag, النقاب تحت رجلي, that means the niqab is under my foot, just to translate for everybody. And they would take pictures in like these gorgeous stiletto heels or something with like an anklet with their foot on top of a niqab. And niqab is the face covering that they had to wear. And videos of them, burning the niqab.
It's amazing.
And it was just so beautiful to see. And how are you feeling about the changes that you're seeing in the Middle East these days?
I welcome change. Change isn't going to come the way we want it. We can dream and fantasize about the perfect change. It's not going to happen. Change will happen. And we are here to either say, yes, this is good. We want this. Let's do it. Or say, no, this is probably not the best. But we're not here to mold it.
Yeah. So you're hopeful?
Yeah, I accept
You're hopeful
the change.
about MBS?
Absolutely. I don't care what, like so many other world leaders, don't care what he does in his person. I don't care. They're corrupt. We all know this. But are the people being helped? Are the people right now in a better place than they were 10 years ago, 20 years ago, when I was there? Yeah, they are. That's all I care about. For me, that's all I care about.
Good. Yeah, for a long time, when all of these MBS changes were happening, I was so skeptical. They're like, women can drive now. However, they still need permission from their husbands. There's still all these other restrictions, So I felt like, this guy is full of it. He's doing this for the international. Yeah. But slowly.
Yeah.
My mind started to change. And it was because of the women in Saudi Arabia. They changed my mind. They're the ones that were telling me, no, actually, when a woman refuses to wear the abaya now, other people judge her quietly.
That's
as opposed what a difference. Before that, it was like so normalized to call her a whore.
Oh, yeah.
And that was like the expected response.
Yes.
Now you have to like respect her decision. And if you don't like it, then you say so quietly in your own home. But it's no longer acceptable to like
bash women.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's amazing on its own
small
progress.
Step, but it's
there
a big
you go.
Step. Yeah.
It's like generations of little girls now are gonna grow up without any of the garbage that we grew up with.
One day.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So
it'll take a while, but at least they're moving in the right direction.
I believe so. And society itself has to also come to accept these changes. Not every aspect and facet of society is on board.
Yeah.
Society, it is diverse. Not as diverse as it is in the West, but you have different people. The Middle East has been westernized significantly. So some people will want this. The radicalization is leaving the Middle East. So you're going to get a mixture. So we'll see.
Yeah. I'm so glad I'm alive to see it. If you told me this when I was a kid, I never would have believed it was possible.
I would have laughed hysterically.
Yeah. So tell me about when you first came to Canada. I know that you mentioned that your blog. I've mentioned your podcast, One Godless Woman. Tell me about coming to Canada and deciding to start that podcast. What initiated that, or tell me about your whole experience. It's a big question.
Well, I guess there's one thing I should probably explain. The person that I was when I came to Canada, we change, we shift, we grow, we advance, we expand. Is a little bit different than the person I am now. The biggest thing for me when I wrote this blog and it became a podcast was to talk. I just wanted to talk and express my point of view, which was never allowed in Saudi Arabia. I didn't want fame. I didn't want sympathy. I was very angry. But I truly just wanted to talk, which is why the title of the blog is It's Time for Me to Talk. It's that simple. Some people in Saudi Arabia got a hold of my blog and decided that I'm a criminal that needs to get deported from Canada to Saudi Arabia and face punishment. Why? No clue. But that's the effect truth tends to have. So that's basic. It's that simple. I just wanted my side, especially of my imprisonment and the stories that happened and came out, because I was disowned as a result of my imprisonment.
I was going to ask you that, because we had 𝗃𝗀𝗧 who was on this podcast before, and she talked about also being kidnapped by the religious police, also her family not knowing, also everybody in her friends and family and co-workers starting to pull themselves away from her because they believed all of the lies, the lies that they were saying about her. And probably the worst part of it all is that her family believed it.
Yes.
So I was going to ask you, so you had the same thing, your family believed it.
They did.
Yeah.
They did. Am I angry at them? No, I'm not. I'm not angry at all. And should they wish to speak to me at some point, I would welcome speaking to my family. But I guess the past is best left in the past. I am of the mindset that humanity is evolving and that we are gaining consciousness as a collective. And I know that word, people don't like it, but we are becoming more conscious as a species. And I have gained that wisdom. That knowledge. So as such, it is a duty on me to forgive those who are unconscious when they harmed me.
Wow.
It's that simple.
That's very good of you. That is not an easy thing to do.
No, it's not. It's very difficult. I understand. I understand. Fully understand.
Yeah, it takes a lot of internal fortitude to be able to do that. It takes a lot of internal strength. So
can I just add that if anything, I feel sympathy towards them. I feel that they are trapped.
Mm-hmm. And they are. Yeah,
Yes.
that's true. They're indoctrinated. They're, like you said, they're almost in a state of unconsciousness.
They
So,
are. And there's a point where you live and let live, you know?
mm-hmm.
Rehashing the past is so ugly, Yasmine.
Mm-hmm.
Is ugly. That energy needs to die. That's how I live my life. Not everyone is on board. I get it.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, I am really happy to hear that you are just moving forward and leaving all that, and sort of forgive is an interesting concept. It's an interesting word because
tell
it's
me
like,
your thoughts.
Well, it's forgive in. Let me know if I'm saying this correctly. But when I think of you, when you say forgive, it's like I am not going to harbor the anger and the sadness. It's not that I am okay with what you did. Yeah.
No, gosh, no.
Yeah.
I'm not okay with any of it, especially the stuff that continues to happen.
Yeah.
I understand that the situation that is occurring is, I guess, not necessarily purely. Have you ever seen the hug? Was it the hug of death that ISIS does to gay people before they throw them off the rooftop?
Yeah.
Have you ever actually, do you understand the mentality of that? Because it's ugly, it's nasty, but I've learned it. I understand when they hug these people, believe it or not, they do it with sincerity. They do it with sincerity. They believe what they are doing. Is it right? Oh gosh, no, it's not. But you have to see these people at where they are. They're completely gone.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing there. So to engage with them, I believe that means that I have to sink myself to their level, which I can't anymore. I don't know, I can't. I'm unable to. Not because I'm a snob, not because I'm better than them. I truly cannot reach these people, and I acknowledge this at this point. So I walk away and I do my work elsewhere where it can be effective and help, educate, raise awareness, shine the light on what's happening. That's all.
Yeah. And that's what you're doing with your podcast.
Yes.
So tell me about your podcast. Are you talking like about the Canadian government? What's your focus, or who are your guests? Like, what are the themes that you cover?
The main thing, I started off by telling my story, and reading my blog. And once that was completed, I felt good. And I moved on to talk about different, the Canadian society, the cultural clash, political instability, infiltration, all that stuff. The extremism generally, that's that we can see because we come from where we come from.
Yeah.
That others can't see.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've tried to interview some people, but I understand that my political views are a little bit out there. Not everyone agrees. So I just stick to talking about things myself. I've stopped bringing people on. So yeah, just trying to expose a lot of what's happening now, because it seems to me, the States might be more awake, more aware of things that are going on than Canada or Canadians are. And I don't say this
for sure
as a oh, they're dumb, they're stupid. I don't know I don't know why this is, considering the two countries are this close. So I'm just trying to raise awareness.
I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
It's because Americans have always had a healthy distrust for their government. That's just who they are. They're like cowboys. They have a healthy distrust for any authority. Yeah. Canadians do not. Canadians are perfect little soldiers.
Amazing though. Amazing. I have a question, Yasmine. Tell me this. If, like, I don't know how much you lived and heard and grew up in the Middle East, but I grew up literally hearing that Jews are pigs, the West are kuffar and monkeys, and we need to hate them and kill. Imagine if this subsection of Canadians that believe everything that the government and the media says were raised the way we were.
Yeah. Yeah. They would be the perfect little you know, Wahhabi, Salafi, madrasa.
It's amazing to me.
Yeah, these are that. But if you look at if you look at any society in the world, so in Saudi Arabia, you had what, like 5 religious classes in school when you were growing up?
Oh gosh, 80%.
Yeah, 80% of your class was. So chances of people breaking through that kind of indoctrination, which is really pounded into you from birth, chances of you breaking free from that are pretty low. And it's the same in any country. Whatever the authority, whether it be education or government or media or whatever it is that they're pounding into your heads day in and day out.
Yeah.
Chances of you being one of the very few people that does not accept the narrative, hook, line, and sinker, and that questions is very, very low. I mean, just as humans, most of us are sheep. And
That's amazing.
It's easier to follow. It's easier to follow. Think about it. Think about how difficult your life has been, right? I know I can think about how difficult my life has been. If you had just, you know, if you just marry the person, exactly. Just pray 5 times a day, cover your face in black, marry who they tell you to marry, let him rape you, let him beat you, and life is easy. It really, truly is, compared to breaking free out of all of that and saying no to an entire, huge, powerful system that is working against you and that is threatening you with death because you dare to stand on your own 2 feet. I mean, it is fucking exhausting, right?
It is. And here we are.
And here we are. But it's the same in Canada, honestly. Like, it was so disheartening for me to be able to, for me to accept this and for me to be saying this to you now. Like, but I had to accept it. I had to accept that Canadians are spoiled rotten. They're soft. They've never known, at least Americans have like memories of a civil war, you know what I agree. That's true. Canadians have nothing. They've had no strife. And all they're just spoiled, rotten, soft pansies. And they really, honest to God, if we're going to get into Canada now, I know most of our listeners aren't even Canadian, so they may not even care, but they'd be familiar with Trudeau and how easy it was for him to bring in all of his love for China and his love for dictatorships, and for him to act like such an authoritarian. And Canadians are responding with love to our fearless leader. You know? Oh
my gosh, you need to come here. You need to come to the area.
I don't want to.
It's ISIS land. Everyone's niqabi. Everyone's wearing the man. I can't. I'm sorry.
That literally triggers me when I see that.
And nobody makes the connection. Nobody understands the connection. Nobody wants to acknowledge the connection that I am making. Why? Because it's not forced on women only. I'm like, it doesn't matter that it's not only forced on women. Doesn't matter.
They don't get it. Yeah.
I can't.
Yeah. So I'm going to open it up to questions now, because quite often I get engaged in the conversation and I forget to open it up. And we have 2 very special guest hosts today, Sahara, of course, because like, as I mentioned at the beginning of this conversation, she's the one
oh my gosh, she's gorgeous.
Isn't she?
Oh my God.
I mean, we talk about the difficulties we've been through. You know what Sahara has been through, like unimaginable strength in this woman. So I have nothing but respect and love for her. So so grateful to have you here, Sahara, and Aliyah as well. So these 2 wonderful women are going to be kind of hosting the Q&A part of this session. So Sahara, I'll let you begin.
Yes, definitely. Thank you, Yasmine. Iman, we love you. Hi, Iman. You know, it's absolutely, your story is so powerful, and that's why we need to continue speaking up. You know, we need to keep talking. We need to, and the thing is, how is a society going to improve if we don't talk about these things that what happened to us? You know, unfortunately, it was happening to every girls and everybody because they were doing it. You know. But what's not okay, and still not okay, it's happening in the world where we grew up, but it's also happening in the Western world, the world that's supposed to be free and you know, helping little girls and, you know, and everybody, like boys too, because boys also are the victim because they are little and they are indoctrinated from the beginning, right?
Yeah.
So we need to really continue talking. And I want to talk about forgiveness because that is a bigger, you know, it's hard forgiveness because but I think it doesn't mean you forgetting what happened to you. You've forgiven yourself what happened to you. You had no control, but it wasn't okay, absolutely not. But to move on forward,
absolutely,
we have to forgive, to move on like forward and to better ourselves. And I think for me, even what happened to me, I had to forgive. It doesn't mean it was okay what they did to me. And I also feel sorry for my family because they've been brainwashed, sadly, right? Everybody was doing, but still, even though we should move from that practices, you know, but still it's happening. What happened to me as a little girl is still happening to little girls, and they continue even doing it in the state and Canada and all over the world. So yes. I think forgiveness is to move on yourself and to just live a peaceful and to be a peaceful with yourself, in my opinion. So it is hard, but in order for you to be a peaceful, you got to forgive. It doesn't mean forget what happened to you. It doesn't mean invite them, those people who abuse you, yes. But to move on forward, I would say. So thank you for bringing that. And I'm just so happy. I'm so happy you're free. And I'm so happy you are in Canada, even though Canada has been, you know, it's just been a shithole. I mean, it could be worse. It could be worse. Life could be worse, right? Always. But the thing is, going back, the mask and everything, 2019, 2020 was happening. It was really hard for me. I mean, a lot of people, especially when you're free, because I used to wear the niqab when I was back home. So it's just seen in like the free world where people, and I get it, people were scared, things were unknown, but the things, people, how they fall for the narrative, you know, and I think it's this kind of, you want to be part of something, right? As a human, we want to be part of something, and you don't want to be kind of like disassociated. So I think people were fearful and also controlled. I think there was fear mongering, and still is going on, but it was really hard. Even I almost quitted my job, what was happening with the mask and with the children, but I made it through, because it's just, we have to adjust, but it's not okay. It's still hard. I just can't imagine America and Canada, the free world, can just like, why are we not, you know, thinking about history? I heard somewhere, I know I'm ranting here, I heard somewhere that humans are, you know, the species intelligent. Yes, we are intelligent, but do we forget history? We need to remember. History is
being manipulated.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I think we need to remember history, what happened in this kind of dehumanization. That's when I find kind of like when the dehumanization started, what was happening. That's when I said,
historically, the mask does not have a good presence historically on humans.
Yeah.
If you want to just do that one, the mask generally,
I'm curious about both of you because I wore niqab as well. And as soon as it was forced on us to wear the masks, did you not get such anxiety attacks?
Yes, I did.
I couldn't leave the house. If you're going to make me wear a mask, I would sit in the car.
Hyperventilating.
Yes. Before I go in for my grocery shopping, I have to just like cry and hyperventilate,
and like everyone laughs at you. Everyone laughs at you.
My husband just is like waiting for her to finish so we can go get some food. It was really, really difficult. Like it was, I hated it so much.
Few people, I almost want to write a book just on this alone.
I will help. I will be part of it.
It's the same thing. You're being forced to cover your face. Like it was too similar.
And just the lack of acknowledgement from anyone around me, even people close to me. They were like, just put it on. I'm like,
how do you explain? You
know?
And that's, you know, it's like, it's what is the difference of niqab? Like it's basically, it's like you hide.
And it's black. It's fucking black.
Yeah.
Kill me.
I know. There is no different. And I think that's when I'm very observant, you know, I watch things, and for me, yeah, girls, it was really hard. Putting on it, I remember, like, I'm a teacher, you know, I work with children. Yeah, so I have to live in the classroom, and I'm just like, I'm also thinking about the freaking little children being forced. This is abuse. This is child abuse. This is human abuse. This is taking basic human rights. And that's when I was like, no, we need to speak out. And of course, the more I, you know, talking about this, I was called radical Republicans, and I want to kill grandma and children. You know,
wow. Because like, you don't want to cover your face.
I just for why I don't want to cover my face. I think we need to just keep speaking. And these bullies, like, you know, there's a lot of bullies in this world, but we just like need to say no, and I'm gonna continue to speak, and I'm gonna. Do you want to wear that shit in your face? Whatever you want to go, you do it, but don't force on children and another human being who doesn't want nothing to do with that thing. So I think we need to continue speaking. But I do remember almost quitting my job, but the reason I stayed were the children.
Good
those
for
little
you.
precious students that I work with. I stay for them. I said, Sahara, if they can do it, I need to do it. I need to make it work. And I think it's horrible what they are doing, these people, to the long term, for especially children. So I just wanted to say that. But we're going to continue speaking, and we are unstoppable. Like they say, we are the tsunami, and we're not going to stop. We're going to continue speaking. And whatever you want to call me, I want to ask you, what do you think about the word Islamophobia? Because I laugh when I hear that word, because I was called when I was in the ideology, guys. Like, I was Islamophobia because I wanted to talk about little girls being mutilated. And I was being Islamophobia.
While you were Muslim,
what do you think
wearing hijab, you were called
I was called Islamophobia. Yeah. What do you think, Iman, about the word Islamophobia? This nonsense.
I don't even think the people that use it know. When somebody says Islamophobe to you, tell them, what does it mean? Tell them, define it. They're gonna go in circles and dance, and then you can walk away and just leave them.
I know. Dance in circle. I know. They don't know. You know, these people can't even differentiate what Islam is and Muslims. I'm just like,
they don't.
You freaking Islam is an ideology.
And then they call you a racist. I'm like, Islam isn't a race, ya Baba. Yeah, I mean, you know, it's a religion. They're lecturing me about my culture. I'm like, go watch some TV. Go watch,
go ahead some trees.
Kardashians.
That's what I said, people.
Yeah. Go watch something.
Or go meditate. Iman, go meditation, go exercise. Literally, people need to just walk and go connect with nature. I really been discovering connecting with nature, and just like it is so much toxic, especially social media. It's like just go.
Twitter.
I know. So,
I put pictures of myself, and people down hate. You're ugly.
That's all they're good for. Like grade 3, like just so immature, right? These are the comments I get. Yeah, like you have a crooked mouth. Like, okay, but you have a response to what I said. Your prophet married a 6-year-old. I'm talking about him, raping a 9-year-old. Like, do you have a response to that? Like,
you're an Islamophobe.
Yeah.
You're racist. You're racist.
Yeah, it's like
it's a non-stop because they don't want to acknowledge. And I think what we need to do in not all the Muslim, but the Muslim community, we need to acknowledge the root cause of the problem. We need to acknowledge, and we need to talk about it. There is an issue in the community. There is this taboo. Don't talk about it. Like you said, you have a blog where you said it's time to talk for me. I also, when I came out, or when I came out from the closet, I said, it's time to tell my story, because at the end of the day, we all have a story, and we need to continue talking. And I'm really grateful to be part of Yasmine, collaborating with this, and also, and
thank you.
And Iman being here. Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much. And I have a cricket today. I cracked my tooth, but I'm kind of a little bit in pain, but I'm okay. Life could be worse. Life is beautiful as always.
Thank you so much. Thank
so
you.
much. Thank you.
Thank you for still joining, Sahara.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Absolutely.
much.
Always. I wouldn't miss that for the world. I love you girls. You know that.
I love you.
Yes.
Aaliyah, I'd like you to also comment, but you've got a really great comment that you have here that I'm just going to read out before I let you speak. You say here, mental prison. She's saying this to you, Iman, when you were talking about a mental prison. Mental prison is a good way to describe the state of Muslim women trapped within the ideology, toxic families, and communities. Yeah,
exactly.
Totally
So
agree.
that's why you free yourself of the mental prison.
Yes.
Yes.
Hi. I am so happy to be here with Yasmine, with Iman, Sahara, and everybody else here. And you know what? Can you guys hear me?
Yes, perfectly.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's so refreshing to see a non-woke ex-Muslim.
Yes, thank you. Oh my God. Somebody said it.
Few of us here.
Oh. Why are all ex-Muslims on the left? Explain it.
I'll tell you why. Can I tell you? I will give you my idea. Because I grew up with a very conservative, very far right ideology, as we all did, right?
Yes.
And so when you want to run away from that,
you go to the opposite.
You hate it so much, you go to the opposite.
Yeah.
And I spoke to a woman who grew up in Russia. She's a Jewish woman from Russia. And for her, it was the exact opposite experience. She's surrounded by this toxic far left ideology. And so when she ran away from Russia and came to California, boom, she went in the exact opposite direction, straight to the conservative Americans. Yeah. And now both of us have sort of found ourselves, finding the middle more. Yeah. But initially, when you first run away, that was what it was for me. It was just like a boom, like I just had to get as far away from anything religious, anything conservative, anything traditional, all of that stuff. I needed to get as far away from that as possible. So that's my reason.
Yes, and it was the same way for me. And I'm somebody who has walked away from the left. But my question actually ties within this. Do you think that Western non-Muslim women take advantage of their freedoms and privileges that they have here in the West to further their personal agendas, and in doing so selectively ignore the suffering of Muslim women or women growing up in Muslim communities and households? Their suffering is mainly behind closed doors here. The chains that they wear are invisible to the outsider. But do you think that they totally ignore women like you and I, or Sahara, or Yasmine, and so many others? And it's really frustrating for me, particularly to see their selectivity and hypocrisy. And mind you, it's all intentional. It is intentional because they are hearing people like you and I, so it's not like they're not hearing us. They're just tuning us out.
The one thing I want to express, though it may appear intentional, and I understand this, I might not even be able to say this right. I understand where you're coming from because I was there, I get it. I, however, believe the intention that you're seeing is more of a reaction. We humans, truly, like if you strip away all the filters and the programs and the indoctrinated garbage that we've got going on, we're good. We're good inside. We want no harm. We want to see no harm happen to anyone or anything. Unfortunate aspect is you're probably speaking to a program that's running in her mind or these women's minds. If they are indoctrinated as leftists, you're talking to a program. You're not talking to just a regular person. We live in a time right now, I think Professor 𝗃𝗍𝗄𝗧 wrote a book about it, called it The Parasitic Mind. If you look back, pardon?
I said great book.
Yes.
I read it. Yes.
Yes. So if you look at revolutions that happened, I guess Soviet Union, Mao's China, these ideas that get pumped from higher ups and the media, they literally infect people's minds, no different than a virus infects the body. You're engaging that virus. You're not engaging that person.
Yes.
So my advice, as someone not coming from a superior point of view, just a little bit enlightened, don't judge her. Don't judge them. They're not awake. They're just not awake yet. It's very frustrating.
I don't have time to judge other people. I have, the only time I have is to create a change within myself and then for others. But you cannot ignore them when they come in the way.
No, you can't.
Of little children, for example, the whole thing with Kristen Bell. Here she is promoting the hijab on a child in her book. And how can you just ignore that? You have to be able to refute that and say, hey, this is not right.
Yeah.
You are complicit to the abuse of children, right?
Yes. It is indeed, but I would state that. I would definitely state that, but I would not engage in conflict. It becomes so toxic with these people that it just loses its power. Yes. I would say the word and walk away.
Exactly.
And give an example if you can, and come from a very, very authentic, non-judgmental place.
Yes, we must continue. We have to talk and smash false narratives. Yes. Don't have time to judge other people.
I'm so done judging. I lived such a long period of time of my life judging. And when I say forgive, when you forgive, something magical happens. The energy of hate and anger dissolves.
Yes. Forgiveness is for yourself. Yes. So you can be at peace.
Absolutely. I'm very happy you are talking. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you.
You're very wise. Thank you.
She is very wise. I want you to listen to the conversation I had with Aaliyah as well. She was born and raised in America, forced into a marriage in Pakistan when she was 17. And that kind of goes to the comment that 𝗃𝗢𝗡 left here in the comments here, where she says, there are a lot of non-Muslims who refuse to believe that women in some countries have a choice about the hijab. For instance, yesterday, a colleague was adamant that no matter what the facts are in other countries, in her mind, they have the freedom to choose. And what you were saying too about all the niqabis in Canada or the hijabis or what people think that, because the government isn't forcing you, you have the choice. So Aaliyah's American and 17 years old, forced into a marriage, but they think, oh no, you're in America. There's no way that's going to happen to you. Like they don't understand the chains. Like you said, like Aaliyah said, they're invisible, right? Like
it's a spell. You're living in a
mental.
Yes. When you cast the spell,
because they remind you of all of the honor violence and the honor killings that are happening around you. The girls, one girl in Egypt the other day, I saw another girl in Jordan yesterday. And what do they do when these girls are killed?
Nothing. They watch and record.
And they remind the rest of us. The shuyukh are on TV saying, this is what happens. If you're going to walk around without hijab, if you're going to walk around in tight clothes, he's going to kill you. He goes like this. Okay. Because she's not wearing a hijab. So she deserves to die. This is how they use these examples. Yeah. That's in Egypt. I'll send you that video. So this is when these women, when the honor violence and the honor killings happen around us all the time, it's like this constant reminder that could be you. He literally said in the video, if you don't wear the hijab, then you will be killed. These are your choices. You need to get on your knees and follow, or you'll be killed.
And Sahara and
Canada, America, doesn't matter. Yeah, sorry, Aaliyah.
Sahara and I, we host a Twitter space, Silence Voices in Islam. And yesterday we were doing like justice space, and there were two Saudi guys. And they were completely denying everything. They were like, oh yes, everybody is equal. Men and women are equal in Saudi Arabia. Men get punished as well. Women and men both need 4 witnesses to prove something. It's not just the men. And we're here just sitting and thinking like, what?
Who believes this? Do people actually believe this? Like, come on.
Yep.
Islam's a religion of peace. People
The religion of pieces.
Yeah.
Pieces.
Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
I would laugh at these guys. There's, they really get angry when you laugh at them.
Oh yeah. They do. And when we say no to Momo.
Please don't disrespect our religion, and let's not
you're being racist. You're being racist.
You're being racist, my religion. You hurt my feelings.
And then I go, oh, are you bleeding? Oh, I hurt you feeling. Is your ideology bleeding? Like literally, does it have a feeling? It's an ideology. Stop it. Cut it off.
The problem in our part, and you guys know this, we fuse it's no different than identity politics here. They've just chosen identity politics in the form of skin tone here. Mm-hmm. In our part of the world, it's religion. Yeah. I said the other day, one woman called me ugly. I said the woman who called me ugly was black. I was describing the woman. She almost ran me over. Somebody called me a racist because I mentioned that the woman who was trying to run me over and call me ugly was black. They called me a racist. I'm like, I'm describing the person.
Criminal. So that's how the cops are going to find somebody. You have to describe them. And
so
how
if
did you know
she's
she was a
criminal,
woman? Did you assume her gender, Iman?
Oh my God, we can't go into this world, guys. We can't enter this stage in life where we can't even talk. Come on. Anyway, it's again, we fuse our identities with Islam. This is very common. Yeah. That's why they get so hostile and they flog and they stone. That's why our brutal punishments, right? Mm-hmm. It's because they take such visceral offense to anything. They can't separate. You separate yourself from, okay, I care about this, but I'm willing to listen to you because I want this to be good, this thing that I care about. But no, we don't have that.
No.
One more thing I want to add, Yasmine and Iman, is I think, yes, we need to be kind and we need to be gentle, but also we need to call the hypocrisy. What Aliyah mentioned here, with these women with wearing, like Yasmine says, like you trying to free your nipples when we're trying just to remove your hijab.
Press the hair, but free the nipple. Yeah.
These women are saying we are oppressed, but then when I come or you come and said, hey, we have a story in the community we are from, we've been abused and oppressed, but then it's like, oh, no, we don't want to talk about it. And that's the hypocrisy I don't like. I said, do you know what you're doing right now? You are silencing me, but you say about, oh, I wanted people to talk. I wanted people to be able to tell their story. You call yourself tolerance. I think we can be gentle, but we need to call their hypocrisy and their double standards. That's what we need to continue.
I agree now. Yeah. For me, I've had to tone my own behavior down because I have come to understand that we have entered a stage especially post-COVID, moving post-COVID, fragility. I'm not kidding you. Like people you can't look at someone, they flare up right now. Mm-hmm. And it's worldwide. It's not one specific. Now, mind you, the G7 countries are hit the hardest. But I've come to understand that calling out someone's hypocrisy, they might not even be aware of it. I have reached a point with our PM where I truly think the man is blind to himself. He cannot see.
He's a narcissist.
Oh, he 100%. 100% narcissist. He wears blackface how many times? How many? He
doesn't even know. He can't.
And everyone's a racist but him. These people, you can't come to them, confrontate. You can't. You will not be able to reach them at all. And it's no different from the guys that are in your Twitter space telling you that they believe in. They're lying to themselves. That's the problem. They want to appear modern. They want to appear good, but they're lying inside to themselves. So when you show them, when you become their mirror and you show them the lie, you got to do it gently sometimes. It's too much. It hurts. It hurts and they flare up at you. you know?
Yeah, you're a very good person, because I could give less of a fuck about them being hurt. Okay, so
I listen, I know. We a little bit of good cop, bad cop. Yeah. Good cop, bad cop.
I want, there's so much that I want to talk about. There's so many
We'll do
really
this
good
again.
comments here. We will have to
We'll
do this
do-
again, but I just wanted, Graham asked a good question here that I really did want to talk a bit more about Canada, and Chandler asked a question about Trudeau as well.
Sure.
But I just want to ask you this one question from Graham, and then we can wrap up. So
Okay.
it says, Iman, many of us worry about the prospect of growing religious extremism in Canada among some immigrant enclaves, as Ayaan Hirsi Ali has described so well in the Netherlands.
Yeah.
What's your view, and does this exert pressure or threats against you? So the growing religious extremism in Canada, how is that?
The area that I'm in,
Mhm.
how do I word this without getting in trouble?
I already know which area you're in.
The area that I'm in has a prominent Muslim Brotherhood figures, very prominent. They've got mosques. They're all around me. They pray. We're allowed to voice during Ramadan, sound the prayer. I
The
see it all.
adhan through the loudspeakers.
Yes. And I know Islam versus extremist Islam.
Yep,
I know the
that's the
difference very
key.
well. Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you know the difference between both, you know what to watch for. Right
Mhm.
now, I also realize that they're very comfortable that we have Trudeau, which is why we're not seeing anything. So I'm okay right now. Do I know what the elements, like how the magnitude of the elements? I don't know. We live in an open border world.
Mhm.
Am I afraid? No, I'm not. I lived literally in radical Islam for 26 years. Yeah. If anyone knows how to live this, it's me. But I would like people to wake up. That's what I would really, really like. And fear, the energy of fear, cannot be propagated through any platform if we are to gain momentum and warn people about what's happening in the West. So I'm not
Mhm.
afraid. And yes, I'm aware.
Yeah. It's kind of interesting how earlier on in our conversation, you were talking about how you see hope in the Arab and Muslim world.
I do.
How people there are aware of the Islamists, they're
Yes.
aware of their, propaganda. Yet, so what they have done is they've moved to the West.
Yeah. Well, because
and here in the West, they're like
hiding.
it's the opposite is happening. The Arab world is progressing, while the Western world is
regressing.
Mhm.
Yeah. So at some point, now you have to understand there is a massive awakening happening, regardless who believes what. There's a massive awakening happening across this planet. We will not know what this project, this globalism that we're in, project, and the migration and the open borders, and the end result, and where we're going to stand, and until this awakening process is completed, and it's not completed yet. So we can't judge right now.
Mhm. We're in flux at the moment.
We are.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can go with the flow, pay attention, take notes,
Mhm.
plan,
Mhm.
stay awake.
Mhm.
Go with your tribe, that kind of stuff. But
I don't
definitely,
have a tribe.
yes, you do.
Humanity is
You're
our
my
tribe.
tribe. Yeah.
Well, humanity, we are.
Yes.
The collective that's waking up, we're gonna at some point unite. It's gonna happen. It's taking time right now, and it's great. It's looking great right now, a little bit. Don't lose hope. Remember dreaming?
Yeah.
Hey, I want to add the dream. Can I add the quick things? Because yes,
I
the
was just
dream
gonna
is-
say I want
Yes.
Sahara, Aliyah, and
Yes,
and
because
Iman to get the last word.
Yes, because the dream. Let me see if I can turn on my camera. The dream. I really. I had a dream as well. Like when I can remember this when I was 5 years old. I did remember that I don't want this life, the life that I went through the female genital mutilation. I was mutilated. I was, sad. Like, why do I have to go through this, And then I knew from the beginning, I don't want to live this life kind of like I have a dream someday I will go somewhere. Literally, I wrote it in my book. I'm not published yet.
You're sorry. This is
yeah.
going to be a common element.
Yes.
You're going to find this as a common element. Sorry.
Absolutely. No, it's okay. So the dream was like, I don't want this life, but I know there's other life exists, even though I was told this is it. Islam is the way of life.
You know,
but somewhere back of my head, I knew there was something else in this world, even though I did not know geography. I didn't know where to find the world. I didn't even know America, Asia.
Yet here you are.
I wasn't able even to read or write. I was illiterate, but literally I knew there was something else than what I was raised into it.
Amazing.
And that was to go somewhere else, to learn how to read and write. And that dream came true. And I think it's important to dream and to have a hope.
Thank you.
And that's why I'm here today. So it is continue to dream, continue to have a hope, continue to keep fighting, even if the fighting is hard. Absolutely.
During COVID,
don't give up.
I've written so much.
Never give up. So thank you. I just wanted to say that.
Thank you, 𝗃𝗓𝗄.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Aaliyah, did you want to get a last word in before we let Iman have the last word?
Yes, I just wanted to add on to what 𝗃𝗓𝗄 was saying. Hope is a powerful thing. Hope is a powerful thing. And, you know, I am a spiritual person. I'm not religious, but I am spiritual. So I know what you're talking about when you say awakening. And the thing is, so each of us must do our own part. If each of us do our own part, and forget about all the noise, regardless of all the noise, including the labels, you know, the backlash, whatever it is, if we just focus on our own part, I believe we will get there. We will get there. And, you know, people are going to start waking up. And yeah, I continue to be positive and just, you know, no matter how frustrating it may get, I still choose to, you know, to hold on to the positive aspects and, you know, have that hope. So, and I hope we all can also. Yeah. Thank you.
Wow. So beautiful.
Thanks, Aaliyah. There are so many people that had comments here, questions that I didn't get to. I would just request in future Forgotten Feminist episodes that you please turn on your microphones, put your hand up, put the little icon. It's so much easier to invite people to ask their questions rather than me trying to find a time to read a question in. So I'm sorry that we can't get to those questions today, but hopefully in the future you can post them. And Iman is on all social media. You can contact her, and she's got her podcast. And then hopefully you can get those questions answered from her. Aaliyah, I wanted to give, or sorry, Iman, I wanted to give you the last word, make sure that you said everything that you wanted to say before we wrap up.
Honestly, I'm honored. I'm so happy and grateful. Like, it's just beautiful. You have something amazing here. Thank you. I see you.
Thank you for being a part of it. Thank you so much, Iman. And thank you to our guest hosts, 𝗃𝗓𝗄 and Aaliyah, and thank you to everybody who joined today. And hopefully we'll see you in upcoming Forgotten Feminists. Take care, everyone. Namaste.